We begin this morning with the new appeal from the Biden-Harris campaign aimed at young black men. A new CNN poll shows Biden's approval rating is 72% among Democrats, 63% among self-described liberals, but only 47% of black Americans approve of his job performance. Black voters in several polls say Biden's key economic policies have not helped them. This new ad, airing in battleground states, looks to flip that narrative.
My community is usually last on the list to receive any type of funding. When Joe Biden started passing laws like the Infrastructure Plan and the Inflation Reduction Act, that was really huge for us. The policies and things that he puts in place are striving to make a difference for things that matter. How to put food on the table for our kids and our families. How to get the next job, how to skill up. Joe Biden's actually doing stuff that helps everyday people. President Joe Biden's got our backs because he's not only thinking about our present, but also our future.
Is that message an effective one? Let's talk about this now with Cameron Trimble. He was the Biden-Harris campaign's director of African-American paid media in 2020. And Theron Johnson is a strategist and former South Regional Director for the 2012 Obama-Biden campaign. Gentlemen, you are the right people with whom to have this conversation. Thank you for being with me. And Theron, I want to start with you with just the numbers and as it relates to young black people and the intention to vote. The latest Harvard Institute of Politics poll shows that there's been a big drop off in those who have intentions to vote. In fall of 2019, it was 50% who said they will definitely vote. That's now down to 38%. If the Biden team starts at a 12-point deficit, should this have started focusing on young black voters, young black men earlier?
Well, if you look at what's going on at the Biden-Harris administration, if you look at their policies, they have been focused directly on people of color, particularly young black men and Hispanic men and women as well. But the thing that is really encouraging to me, Victor, is that this is an unprecedented investment of $25 million and very early on in the campaign with a little less than a year out to specifically focus on this constituency group. And so while the numbers are still early, I think those numbers will get better. Polling this early really doesn't necessarily dictate what the outcome would be. But I know that if you look at the Biden record of success, particularly around the economy, encouraging black men to basically give them the resources they need to provide for their families, things that they've done around public safety, but also embracing entrepreneurship. I mean, if you look at the level of small businesses, unprecedented number, the record high of new small businesses that have been created by black and Latino led businesses, I think that is something that is going to really resonate with these voters. But look, I believe this, even if these poll that you just quoted, Victor, wasn't out, the Biden-Harris campaign was going to make this investment anyway. But the one thing that we can't leave this show and not sort of highlight is that how early it is, and it's in key battleground states that's going to be a part of that Biden winning coalition.
All right, I want to come back to, as you talked about the content, the economic message, because as I said at the top, it's refreshing that the first words out of a campaign to black men is not about policing or prison reform. It's about growing small businesses. Cameron, let me come to you because this is your wheelhouse, reaching black voters. The effectiveness of a television ad, of this style of ad, and is this the right approach for the re-election campaign?
Thank you, Victor. Yes, this ads like this are great because black people and definitely young black men have had legitimate questions about what the administration has done with rising goods and prices and student loan interest rates and so many things really impeding on the wallet. And young black people are really wanting to make sure they have the same opportunities their parents and grandparents had. But ads like this are effective not only on TV, but also really on digital because black people, we are all over the internet. And this is really this is a really good first step in investment in really getting that message out there early and often.
You know what I found interesting? You told Cameron, one of my producers, and this is going to stick with me, as it relates to black voters, we are not a monolith, but we are an algorithm. Explain that.
Yes, black people are not a monolith, but we are an algorithm. There's a way to really reach us, surround sound across the internet, across social media, to really break into the feed, And I think the Biden campaign, by launching this not just on TV, but across digital platforms, across social media, and again, getting out there early, often, and really showing up. So So when people go online, when they go on social media, wherever they have that surround sound and really are getting this message, because that's really the problem the administration has had, is really breaking through so people actually hear and receive the message and know what the president and vice president have done for them.
Theron, let me go back to this poll from Harvard Institute of Politics, where they show that in this poll among likely voters, Biden's advantage over Trump is exactly where exit polls show that it ended up in 2020, 24 points ahead of former President Trump. However, when the independents, Cornel West and RFK Jr. are added, even Joe Manchin, who's not in the race, that lead is cut by a third down to 16. So winning the youth vote is not enough. He's got to win it big. Your concerns about the presence of these independents, Theron?
Well, if you look at the last few elections that we had for president of the United States of America, each candidate, he or she put together a broad coalition. But the one consistent thing that we've seen within the Democratic Party is that young voters are an essential part of that success. And so those numbers you just quoted, I believe that Joe Biden will basically get back to those numbers and possibly exceed them, because right now, we're not in sort of a head-to-head race between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and whoever the Republican presidential nominee and vice president nominee will be. However, Victor, the independents, it gives the voters the opportunity to look at another candidate. Now, would those independents be able to make the ballot, and will they be on the ballot in November of next year? Maybe and maybe not. But ultimately, I believe that once it sort of becomes a head-to-head matchup between President Joe Biden and whoever the Republican nominee would be, and possibly a third-party candidate or independent, I think the voters will basically pay more attention to those candidates, and that's where the Biden campaign record of success will shine.
I will say, though, that RFK Jr. has shown some double-digit strength in these early polls that the independents in 2020, even going back to 2016, did not show, and is holding that double-digit strength. Cameron, let me come to you on more than the ads and showing up. Your thoughts on Biden-Harris campaign showing up in this community? Are you seeing what you did or did not see in 2020? Are they coming in and making the case in person?
Yes, I think in 2020, obviously, we were all locked in place due to the pandemic, and the only way we really could communicate was through visual and audio. But the president and the vice president have really been going around the country, showing up in communities, continuing to show up there, and then with ads like this to layer on top of that. So when they see the president, they see the vice president in those communities, they also are then hit in seeing this on TV, hearing this on radio, seeing this on social media feed. And then also that message is being carried not just by the president and the vice president, by everyday people who have been affected and who've seen the benefits of some of their policies, both in their lives and in their communities.
All right, Cameron, Theron, thank you both.